Are RP groups always this drama laden?
Yeah, it's I don't.
That's a really heavy question.
Well, I think like drama happens in any group, but I think I think it does happen a little bit more frequently in RP groups because one of the problems you run into, and this is like something you run into all the time in tabletop RP as well, is that you ask 10 people what the definition of RP is, you're going to get like a dozen answers.
Right.
Oh yeah, and so like like what I'm interested in RP is different than what somebody else is interested in RP, and so then you get that kind of an inherent conflict, and then you're going to get people who like feel the need to basically kind of impress their ideas of like, oh no, it should be like this. So kind of like the kind of like what you're talking about with the and the leader basically. Like, the leader wanted a lot of control. I think you said it best as in they wanted to write stories like like narrative stories. They wanted to write a novel. They didn't want to roll.
Right, right.
They wanted to write a novel, and they wanted other people to basically play along with that. And so, at the end of the day, they were going to be disappointed because they were always going to feel like, like people weren't doing, people weren't acting out the story in their head. And
Right.
so, yeah, then you get basic kind of passive aggressive behavior. Oh, gee, we miss you. Oh, gee, why are you spending time with this other person? Why aren't you doing? And why aren't you performing my story for me? Um, and and I think like that's one of the reasons why you have like kind of like I think that's one of the reasons why it's so important that you um one of the reasons why it's so important that you kind of have manage these expectations so that when people come in, you kind of get this feeling of um uh this feeling that basically like they know what they're getting into, and they're going to be respected. And kind of going back to what you were talking about with your Makote group, that sounds like a lot of what they do is kind of focus on that aspect of doing like making sure everybody's kind of on the same page and everybody kind of feels safe and everybody knows that their RP is going to be respected and it's not just going to be trampled over by other people. And from what you've told me, this tends to be a very low drama group because of that.
Yeah, my so to answer Jajar's question, are RP groups always this drama laden? Bad ones are, yes.
Right.
He was also hoping RP groups would be less drama llamas because they have an outlet. Uh, the issue is that RP groups,
Well, there's in character and out of character
yes,
drama, and so having and the problem is though, of course, is a lot of times people don't separate out in character and out character very well.
even though
Again,
that's taboo.
you see that a lot with tabletop RPGs or even like early MMOs, in MUDs. You know, if you were a guy playing a female character, oh my god, you're just trying to kind of trick people. You're a terrible person. Why would you try to fool people like that? Um, and playing female characters, around a tabletop as a male character. I mean, I think it's a little more accepted now, but back when I got into it, it was kind of seen as like, oh, what's wrong with you?
Right.
And so I think, and even tabletop games, like yeah, but you have D&D where it's like, okay, I'm gonna go beat up stuff and beat up characters and take their stuff. But then you have the people like, oh no, I'm the dramatic role player and I shall have a serious, yeah, you're going to get conflict between those two people, and you try to kind of like shove them into the same game. Try to shove the D&D Munchkin min maxer in with the Vampire the Masquerade. Oh, life is so horrible.
The
Dramatic.
Shakespearean actor.
Right. You're gonna get kind of that same thing because and like in an MMO, it's a little worse because you have this common ground of the game where everybody's like, okay, yeah, Final Fantasy, Malgrim and I have talked a little bit about Makote, and I've looked into like a lot of Makote lore and whatnot. Like a lot of the basics are defined, but there's also a lot of holes that you kind of have to fill in on your own.
Oh yeah, no two Makote RP group is the same. They're
Right.
all
And so
different.
so if you have this idea of like, oh, my group's gonna be like X, and somebody's like, oh, but Makoto group should be like Y, well, then you're gonna have conflict. You're gonna have out of character conflict.
Yeah.
And then if you have in-character conflict, then some people just aren't very good role players, and they're going to kind of take that in-character conflict and turn it into out-of-character conflict. Oh, you just don't like me.
Yeah.
No, that's how the characters go. I actually like you. You're a nice person, but the characters just don't get along because that happens.
Yeah, personally, that's why I have like multiple characters, so that if I have an interaction where like I have there's one person in my Makote group that my character does not like. One of my characters doesn't like.
Mm.
Because they wrote that character in as being part of my character's backstory of being a part of a rival tribe that abandoned that and then joined our tribe, and that
Mm.
rival tribe killed um my character's like scouting partner.
Mm.
So like she kind of has like an axe to grind against that rival tribe, and so like the way that the character was brought into the story, my character doesn't like that character at all.
Right.
Although out of character, I talk to that person all the time, and we're best buds. So
Right.
like that's why I can trust that there's not going to be a bleeding in that.
Right.
And also, my other character in our tribe loves that character. Like they're like best friends.
Right.
And so like I always find like having multiple characters helps with that out of characterness when you can show that person the range of your dynamic RP. But not everyone's capable of handling multiple characters. Not everyone has a large dynamic range.
Mm.
I know one person from another group that I don't like, that every one of his characters has to use void magic.
Oh. Yes.
Which void magic is like it's like the dark magic of Final
Right.
Fantasy.
It's the forbidden, evil. But of course, there's always that type of person like, oh no, that means my character definitely has to use that in order to be edgy and cool.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like the warlock of like WoW, where it's
Right.
like I'm summoning demons. Ooh.
Except for that's actually a class in World of Warcraft. Like there's no players don't get access to void magic at all
Right.
in the gameplay of Final Fantasy 14. So this is somebody going off and like there's a lot of interpretation about how that works. Like there's a lot of like the void scent are basically kind of supposed to be like pop up boogeymen, evil things that you're supposed to basically smash in the face and feel good about because they are irredeemable and horrible and awful and of course nobody would ever use void magic. Like only the depraved use void magic, so we can defeat them without any moral question.
Oh
Until
no,
someone role plays that.
He
Right.
thinks he plays the hero with void magic.
Right.
With all of his characters. And I did some RP with him a couple of times. We did some action scenes where like one of his characters was like the villain of the story arc or whatever.
Mm.
It was awful. Basically,
Right.
he pulled a oh well, you can't defeat me unless you have this MacGuffin that we've never heard of before.
Right. Some obscure bit of. I actually looked at after you got kind of. Yeah, it's like a super obscure bit of like lore that makes so it's not something. It's not something your character just kind of like runs into as a matter of course. It's like something from the far past.
I forget what it
They call it
was.
nullstone, which is like
What was it?
it's called a nullstone.
Oh, that's right, Nullstones.
Yeah. Like one of the raids was all about like going and preserving a nullstone that basically a void scent was going to get. Yeah, I could bore you with all the role play.
Oh, that was the macaque.
Yep.
Macaque stuff. Okay, that's right.
Yep.
I looked it up
Macaque stuff, yeah.
back then because I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. Yeah, and so like yeah, like this character's like you have to have this thing that's mentioned obliquely in the lore like once, and like it doesn't even really isn't even really talked about. Like like I was looking up like there's no information about like is the void is the null stone something you can carry? Is the void stone something that's like situated somewhere that you can't move it? Was there one void stone? Were there many void stones? Like like yeah, and so it's just one of those things. Again, like you're dealing with someone who basically says, okay, this is my interpretation of the lore, and I'm going to play with it. Now I expect you to kind of know exactly how this works too,
Right,
which
right.
can
And,
just be like just feel like super obnoxious.
and that's an example of like some really bad role play right there. It's
Right,
just somebody. I mean, it's like playing like make believe with your friends, where they keep changing the rules on the fly.
right, right,
Only we're all fucking adults, and nobody should be
right,
doing that
right.
shit.
Right, right. I mean, I think the kind of the truly negative aspect of it is that there's the facade of there being consistency of the rules because there's lore, but like like no lore is perfect. Like like kind of bringing in the infamous Blizzard red shirt guy, where the like some fan some super fan like like basically corrected someone corrected the lore team about like some detail of the game. It's like like the lore team doesn't necessarily know exactly what they're doing here.
Right, right. Yeah, and there's tons of holes in 14 lore, and I mean that can make things interesting and give you wiggle room to do your own thing. And wasn't there a time with D&D where people would call up like the story writing team and be like, "Well, how does this work?" And they go, "Make it up. Like we're not dealing with that."
Right, right, right. I mean, like D&D is all about kind of making your own shit up, as you go along. So
Right. But yeah, so I mean that's another just there's so many horror stories. Holy shit. I mean, so I don't know how much detail should I go into this story. But yeah, so this guy he controls this void creature thing, whatever. We start fighting him. My character gets its ass beat, and I'm like, that's fine. This character doesn't know how to deal with void. That's fine, whatever. But then one of my other friends shows up and like writes that they have like a squadron of immortal flame soldiers, which is one of the grand companies.
right.
Like they ran because they were supposed to have a ranking in the grand companies. They ran to the headquarters, said I need backup, showed up with a squadron of immortal flames, and the guy goes, "Oh no, you can't beat me without a null stone." And it's just like, bitch, please.
Right.
And so at that point we have a contested scene where, or that's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call it a contested scene where not all parties are consenting on the outcome. And in roleplay, what that means is the scene gets dropped.
Right.
It stops there. Everyone retcons what the fuck just happened and moves on with
Hmm.
their lives.
Right.
Because in my Makote group, you talked about it being low drama. Our number one rule in my Makote group is consent and respect.
Right.
You don't do things without consent to other people's characters. You don't mess with their stories. You don't mess with other people without their permission. And it's not hard. That's the culture that we set up. If you want to do something with another person, you go, "Hey, I have this idea. Hey, I have this idea. I think your character would be perfect for it. Let me tell you about it."
Right.
And either they go, "Oh yeah, that's really cool," or "No fucking way."
Right.
But you have to respect that. And that's the issue with like the is that they wouldn't respect what you wanted. I told them I was a lawful good character. I told them my character's a performer. That's it. That doesn't make her, a super spy that can trick, the minds of weak-willed men to tell them all their tell her all their secrets, or it doesn't make her an interrogator. It just means she likes making people smile.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's all she wants in the I mean at the time of the character, that's all she wants. And they just didn't they refused to accept that.
Hmm.
Um I'm sad now.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the downside of telling horror stories. But I mean, like, I think like the one, maybe to end on a bit of a is that, like, there's a lot of work that goes into these things, and I mean, like, and I mean, the reason why this is important is because, like, kind of like what we said, everybody wants to just kind of like enjoy themselves. Like, everybody wants to, like, have fun with these things. Like, you shouldn't feel like, um, you shouldn't feel like, like this is like this is a chore. And so when you have people that are kind of like, basically they're kind of toxic like that, like, it can basically kind of like really, it can really drag you down. But like at the end of the day, we want to have fun. We want this thing to feel fun. We want this thing to feel enjoyable. And so like having the right setup, the right community, the right officers, the right rules, the right structure, the right culture, helps everybody do that. Helps everybody to have that fun, and that's why we do this.
Yeah. I mean that's why I'm a part of the group that I am, and why I take the responsibilities I do, because I've seen so many bad groups do so many horrible things that when I join this group, I'm like, I'm gonna make sure this group is the right group, and I'm gonna make sure it goes the right way.
Right,
And I like to think that we're doing that.
right.
But so to hit back on Dejar's point about the drama, drama's always gonna happen no matter what community you're in. There's always going to be a clash of personality. I'm sure you're aware of that. With RP groups in particular, I just want to say, because you have two different layers of interactions, you have the in character and you have the out of character, that doubles your chances of drama between people.
Right.
Yeah, I think I've